scheduled meeting. It's 6 o'clock, and we'll call the meeting to order. May I have a roll call? I'm sorry, may I have the invocation and pledge? Oh, okay, roll call.
Darrell Anderson. Eli Roberts. Present. Christy DeRuin. Here. Langston Adams. Here. Richard Wyckoff. Warren Pena. Here. Dallas Smith. Here. Ingrid West Holmes. Here. Carol Womack. Present. You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. President Anderson, may I ask you to give us the invocation, please? If you'll all rise for the invocation and pledge.
God, we thank you and we praise you for this day. Thank you for this time. Thank you, God. Allow us to have insight, God, to see these things and make good decisions. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance. God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have the minutes from the last meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to read them?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the last meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Minutes approved. We have a long agenda tonight, and we have several presentations. Our first presentation, Mr. Baptiste, I'll ask you to introduce our first presenter. Mr. Baptiste.
Renata. Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening. As you all know, we've been in the process of revamping our website. And tonight I have Jason Spencer with Design Shoot here, as well as Tisha Self with 4 Alarm Productions, and I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves.
Good evening, I'm Tisha Self with 4 Alarm Productions. Jason and I have partnered together completing your website. We have much more to discuss, but that's it for now. Jason?
Good evening, Jason Spencer here. I've been a web developer for a long time. I really appreciate you guys giving us a shot at doing this project for you. We really feel like it's going to be a good thing for the community, and I hope you like it. So what we have here is a content management system. You probably know the term by now, CMS. What that basically means is that multiple users of various authority types can log in, password protection, and do different things. So you could actually, multiple people from your organization could actually log in and make changes to this website. This website is also mobile responsive, so it should reformat itself to match the viewport of whatever user is using the website. If you're a mobile user on an iPhone 5, you might see this. tablet in portrait mode, might see this. Tablet in landscape mode. Only a laptop, and here's the desktop. So one design for all formats. Renata and the small board group that we met with and planned this had the vision to make Port Arthur a destination for businesses. We tried our best to get that point across as plainly as possible. It has a number of features on the homepage. The homepage is kind of a little bit of everything, where you can see the latest meeting. This is embedded from YouTube. We also have a very nice YouTube embedded library of all your meetings since January. You can quickly scroll through these. I'll try to go through this as quick as possible. I know you all are very busy. Got a lot to cover. Some community information here. There's some information on site selection, economic overview, available properties. Here's business parks. We're working on completing the 73 business park. We have a very nice indication of what you get on this map-wise. You can click out, visit the various properties. Right.
Show them the economic overview.
Economic overview. We have an embedded PDF here, where you can actually read the document. If you need to update it, you can upload a new document in its place. Or you can also download the document if you choose to.
Just a FYI, this is analytical data for site selectors and consultants that are actually interested in coming to our area. It's always good to give them an economic overview of the city. That way they can look at wage trends, employment trends, how many graduates we have, population, race, ethnicity, all that good information is located right there. And we can interchange it day to day, month to month, every quarter, so forth.
Incentives as general information here, and all this is editable, by the way, so if you see something needs to change, you can very, very quickly act on that, make changes for you. It's not static. This is actually all database driven, so it's very easy to edit. Training. There's some nice features under the About section. This is one area with a link to the Visitors and Convention Bureau, as well as a few local photographs that in a sliding marquee. We have a board members page, missing a couple of photographs, so is that Mr. Roberts? We need your photograph, please. This is a nice little interactive feature too. This is your agendas and minutes going back quite a good way. 2006. This has a back-end interface to make it easy to edit. You don't have to call me to upload your document. You can actually, username and password will get you in, and you can modify this yourself. This is the monthly meetings I showed you before. And privacy policy, we also have a conditional contact form. This is modifiable. If you decide you need more information to be included here, we can do that for you. This will be emailed to whoever needs to get that. got some recent news, and I'm hoping this becomes something that we can edit and add to on an ongoing basis. When you have community news or EDC news, I think it's only appropriate that we add it to the website. All right, you have newsletters here as well. Available for download as well. And that's the abbreviated tour. If anyone would like to see the full unabridged tour, this is now live on the website. You can either get there by going to paedc.org or portarthur.edc.org.
The purpose of the new website, obviously, is to bring us all into the new age, and when we started talking about this, Renata and Jason and myself and a large team, was to make the website very clean, very user-friendly, easy to navigate, and appealing. So there's not a whole lot going on. We wanted to keep it somewhat simple, but easy to maneuver through. It's been a work in process, and there are still a few things that we need to tweak, but we appreciate your time and the opportunity to work with all of you on the website. So,
Do you guys have any questions? I just want to close with, it's been a pleasure working with Jason and Tisha. A lot of things happened during the time that we were revamping this website, but I would like to say that through it all, they stood firm and they delivered. And so, thank you guys very much. Thank you. And he's with Design Shoot, and she's with 4 Alarm Productions. So if you guys have any questions, you can talk with me or talk with them.
Thank you so much. It's a great website. We love the look. Any questions, comments from the board? Thank you. Thank you, Renata. Great job. Next presentation. First, let me say thank you to all of the people in the audience, especially I'd like to recognize our mayor and our city council members and our city manager. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you being here at our meeting and for our next presentation specifically, and we welcome you to make any comments. Baptiste. Mike, Mr. Baptiste.
The next presentation, we're going to have Phil Fisher and Travis. Phil?
How are you? I'm Travis Woods, and at this time, if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce Mr. Fisher. I'm Travis Woods from T&L Solutions. If y'all would like to come up here and work on that while I visit a little bit. I'm from Buena, Texas. Been a member of the Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce for a good while and very active member. I am an industrial contractor, if you will. We've been in the business 40 years, and all we do is take care of the chemical plants, pulp and paper industry, and been in that my whole life. And what brought this to town, so to speak, Mr. Fisher, and while they're setting this up, I've known Phil Fisher for a long time. They're from Chicago, and Phil has an entrepreneurial spirit like myself, so he's kind of always looking. So he called one day, and he had some ideas that I felt like needed to be in the chemical plants that ought to just fit right in the mix. And I said, well, you need to bring that stuff down here. We need to get in front of the chemical plants and let them see what you have. And a lot of this stuff was from the Galvan Center in Chicago, which is all they do. They invent technology and they create data from the technology. So there was a couple of items in particular. One of them was reduced emissions. Well, how many of us is excited about that? You know, if he can reduce emissions, then that's a huge deal. Well, they'd come to town several times and talked to me and several of us, and we had visited with them. And there's another opportunity of generating electricity from excess heat. Flare stack, heat off a boiler. Well, if you can generate electricity from heat, well, we got heat in all these plants. And what happens, and this came straight from Phillips 66, what happens when a hurricane gets in the Gulf? Entergy says, oh, we're going to cut the key off, time to go. But sometimes the hurricane goes the other way. But that would enable these plants to generate their own electricity. So there's a couple of things that I want you to give Phil your undivided attention. I know, are we getting close? Good deal. Yes, ma'am. But I will, while I'm introducing him, Phil Fisher is the founder and chairman of Renewable Energy Applications to Conserve Humanity, which is the REACH Center in Chicago, Illinois. And they flew down just for this presentation tonight. Mr. Fisher recently his recent concentration has been on power generation, microgrid technology development for university campuses, airports, hospitals, and seaports, as well as academic collaborations for all purpose of technology transfer and developing solutions for relief from energy crisis, reduction in energy cost and emissions, in energy independence, system stabilization and reliability, and energy demand reduction solutions for government entities, academic institutions, medical facilities, and private corporations around the world. Mr. Fisher has been sought after from government offices, educational institutions, technology developers in many countries, and his insight on expertise in driving economic development and tourism. His entrepreneurial career spans 30 years, spent largely as an educator and consultant to government entities such as the City of Mayor's office in Chicago, City of Miami-Dade, Florida, the City of Miami Beach, the City of Philadelphia, Rio de Janeiro, U.S. Virgin Islands, Office of the Governor, Office of Tourism, and Department of Agriculture. Other consulting projects from Cancun, Acapulco, Jamaica, Aruba, St. Kitts, Antigua, San Juan, Haiti, Israel, and much more. Fisher's work has resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars in positive economic impact throughout the Caribbean, with another $45 million in the works right now. So if you'll give him your undivided attention, I'd like to present Phil Fisher.
Thank you so much, Travis. Good evening. We're all set there? Thank you all for having us in this evening to present to you. Thank you, Mr. Batiste, for inviting us, and a special thanks to Madam Chair, the EDC Board, the members of the City Council who are present today. We appreciate you coming out, City Manager, staff, residents, and residents, of course, of this great city. You want to go? Renewable Energy Applications to Conserve Humanity, REACH, originated at the Galvan Center for Electricity Innovation at the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, where some of your colleagues recently visited with us, including Brian McDougall, Jeff Hayes, Melvin White, and Paul Fouget. I had the honor of providing a tour to our guests from Port Arthur of the most advanced smart microgrid university campus in the nation. a $50+ million facility that is world-renowned for technology advancement. So we have some of the pictures up now. I think Matt's got it set. So these are some of the pictures of the Galvin Center, where our office and where we've been founded. REACH was founded on the belief that by joining forces and sharing information with colleges and universities from around the world, we can achieve superior technology transfer through academic collaboration. This belief has driven REACH to collaborate in such places like the University of the Virgin Islands in St. Thomas and St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, IM Tech University in Sierra Leone, Africa, Universidad de Valle in Cali, Colombia, Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida, Penn State University in Philadelphia, as well as right here in Southeast Texas at Lamar University, just to name a few. Since the city of Port Arthur is known as the Energy City, there could be no better place for REACH Innovation Centers to establish synergy to further our mission in support of technology innovation, job creation, and economic development. We are honored to have been invited to collaborate in support of the vision of Lamar University's Center for Commercialization, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. Such a collaboration will showcase the city of Port Arthur and Lamar University as leaders in technology within the Gulf Coast region. Just a few weeks ago, the downtown area of Seattle, Washington, experienced a blackout, jamming traffic and requiring first responders to rescue people stranded in elevators inside of numerous skyscraper buildings. Only a few short months ago, ExxonMobil in Beaumont experienced a lightning strike that caused a power outage, which led to an excessive amount of flaring, which further caused a hazardous environment and then caused a portion of Lamar University to have to be evacuated. Recent flooding in areas surrounding Houston and Southeast Texas since April have forced the closing of schools, governments, and businesses and left thousands of residents without power. Furthermore, a report out of Johns Hopkins University found that power outages will increase with the increased intensity of hurricanes. REACH Innovation Centers is prepared to solve existing energy resilience challenges by providing potential solutions to prevent further power loss incidents by bringing cutting-edge technology, inventors, and engineers to Port Arthur to showcase innovation and present the vast safety, financial, and environmental benefits for the oil and gas industry, as well as other options for chemical plants and physical plant operations, energy efficiency, and resilience. By conducting direct discussions with plant managers and engineers, we will establish the pathway for best-in-class technology applications for plant modernization. Through a unique industry collaboration approach, we will begin the process toward innovative technology testing, demonstration, manufacturing, assembly, and commercialization, all of which will lead to workforce education and training and economic development. The initial technologies that we have selected, as you will hear more about today, already have demand among local Southeast Texas industry businesses. We selected these specific technologies because each one can have an immediate impact and can effectively support and solve some of the challenges that I cited earlier. Examples of current REACH projects include the new development of large data centers in several major U.S. cities in the Caribbean, the development of energy testing laboratories in Colombia, South America, empowering the powerless with renewable energy technology innovation throughout ECOWAS countries in our West Africa initiative, including the installation of solar-powered LED streetlights for Senegal, Africa. University Campus Microgrid Initiative, designed to engage and empower academia to participate in establishing and achieving energy efficiency and innovative technology benchmarks while modernizing and enhancing their campus environment, ultimately establishing energy independence and education. With the support of the City of Port Arthur and EDC, our Advanced Technology Presentation Series will demonstrate the value of technology, innovation, and integration, engineering the oil and gas and chemical plant industries during Phase 1, then move to technology testing and scaling to industry application in Phase 2, followed by manufacturing, assembly, and commercialization in Phase 3, all of which will provide a pathway for emerging energy efficiency and advanced renewable energy technologies to be manufactured, assembled, and deployed into new industry applications. Together we can create a positive economic impact through manufacturing and job creation for the Golden Triangle Industries area. One of the initial focuses that we would like to take is to create a symposium, an event. You have before you, I think it might be page 4 of your presentation. There is a page about the symposium. May I take a look and see what page? Page 5 and page 6. So the event that we would like to produce will be held, God willing, at Lamar University, and would host various technology inventors and engineers to come and talk specifically with plant managers and engineers about how those technologies can be applied to the various challenges that each of the plants have today. The day would be broken up into 2 sessions, and the presentations would be followed by an interactive panel discussion, as well as one-on-one appointments with each of the technology inventors or engineers and the plant managers and engineers. What I'd like to do is ask Matt Giassi, the REACH Director of Technology and Project Management, to share a brief overview of some of the advanced technologies specifically that we're talking about today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you. We pray that we will be honored with the opportunity to serve your community and to serve our world to make it more pure and more productive. God willing. Thank you. Matt? Yes.
Thank you, Phil. And thank you for having this opportunity to present this information and technology symposium to the City of Port Arthur and the EDC. I'm going to briefly, there's a lot of technology information, but obviously I'm not going to bore you with all the technicality of the technologies, but I'm going to cover the 5 technologies that we've selected for this presentation, the upcoming presentation that, of course, if it's approved. Just to give you an idea, currently 80% of all energy that's generated in the world is through the use of fossil fuels. 20% is generated by hydroelectric and what we call renewable energies. The Bloomberg's New Energy Outlook estimates that by 2040, there's going to be a paradigm shift, and that is about 60% of all energy will be generated through the use of renewables. So 40% will still be fossil fuel and hydroelectric, and about 60% will be generated through the use of renewable energy. So there's going to be a significant change, a transformation in the industry. And that's where we come in. We're excited to be in this position, to be able to be a part of this significant transformation in the world, actually. The technologies, as Phil mentioned, that we've selected will have to do with the specific needs of this region, and of course they would be applied to many other areas as well in the world. But we think that these are a very good fit for the market and industries that are located in this region. The first one, if I may turn your attention to this page, it's Advanced Technology Presentation, page 5. So I'm going to go over the technologies one by one in the order that's presented on the page. The first one is the Advanced Waste Gas Conversion Process, what we call it CCI in short. This technology actually uses a non-thermal plasma technology to break down the contaminants, the pollutants that are produced by the effluent that comes from out of the combustion systems, factories, facilities, oil and gas facilities, and so forth. This technology attacks the molecule, breaks down the molecule, the structure into its basic elements. For instance, if you have CO2, carbon dioxide, which is a contaminant, and it's a major issue with the global warming, the system will take the CO2 and break it down to carbon, the basic element of carbon, and oxygen. The oxygen is released into the atmosphere, of course. We need more of it. So, and carbon is collected. And the same thing with SO2 and NOx, the NO2 and NO3, meaning that we can segregate the sulfur and nitrogen and collect them and actually resell them. So this technology not only takes out the contaminants, the pollutants out of the effluent from the facility, it also gives the opportunity to the installer, the user of the technology, to be able to sell the basic elements on the open market, carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur. So it generates revenues actually for the industry as well. We've done independent verification. These technologies, by the way, they've been in testing and development for many years. We have independent verification that this technology breaks down the pollutants in the upwards of 95%, which is unlike any other technology that exists in the market right now. 95% destruction. It has no byproducts, no chemicals is used, so there are no hazardous waste generated through the use of this technology. It already exceeds the 2030 target EPA emissions reduction requirements for CO, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, NOxes, and SOxes. So that's one technology. The other technology, which is actually a platform, it's a software that's been developed for over a year now, and it's already installed in many facilities, Michigan, North Carolina, and some other states. It is an internet-based, SaaS-based platform that provides enhanced visibility and centralized remote control of the facility's energy performance. So by installing sensors and monitors throughout any facility, we can see exactly how the energy is utilized, and we'll be able to control the usage of energy. And by installing and monitoring, the system alone would save 10% on the consumption of the energy in the building. And of course, then we analyze and monitor, collect, and analyze the data. Then we can suggest new systems, perhaps an energy generation and also energy efficient system to make the facility even more efficient in terms of energy. So in some of the buildings that we have installed the system, and of course we followed up with the installation of other technologies, we've saved over 50% in terms of energy consumption in a facility. The next technology I'm going to talk about is the Advanced Energy Storage Battery, REG for short. This is also a revolutionary technology. This is the tubes. Yes, the tubes storage battery. It's a revolutionary technology. It's been developed for over 5 years or longer, and it is based on a graphene technology, nanotechnology, that offers remarkable storage. So what we do by the use of graphene technology, nanotechnology, we create so much surface area within the cell that it creates a lot of transfer of conductivity, creates a lot of conductivity and therefore energy storage. We've estimated that the capacity of the battery would be 10 times what we have in the market right now. The best technology that we have in the market, this system would have 10 times that similar technology based on lithium-ion storage batteries. It's 50% lighter, 40% smaller, and it is a cooler battery. It doesn't have any fluids inside, so it's a dry cell actually. The other technology that we...
One second. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I want to just state the impact of what he just said. Everybody has a cell phone, and you have to charge it every day. Imagine that your cell phone would only have to be charged once a week or once every 10 days instead of every however many hours you manage to get through it in one day. That's just on a minute basis. That same battery can be used in your Tesla to drive 1,000+ miles instead of what is now available in Tesla of maybe 300, and it can be applied to all kinds of renewable energy product solutions, say chemical plants or data centers, etc., to provide extensive amount of energy storage. This is the most advanced technology in this area in the world today. I just wanted to make that point very clear about how impactful that is. It's very serious. Sorry.
Thank you, that's all right. Thank you so much. So there's a lot more information, of course, we can get into it, but again, because of the time limitation, I can just cover the highlights. So the next one is the advanced organic Rankine cycle technology. The organic Rankine cycle technology that Travis kind of hit upon briefly, it takes wasted heat and converts it to energy. There is wasted heat everywhere. In fact, approximately 150 billion cubic meters of natural gas are flowed in the world each year, representing a $15 to $20 billion waste of resources and a 260 to 400 million metric ton contribution to global greenhouse emissions. So, in essence, we waste about 5% of all natural gas in the world because we don't know how to use it. So this system that we have in the stack is highly efficient ORC technology. It captures and converts wasted heat to energy. It's 50% more efficient than any ORC system that we have on the market, 50%. So, sometimes we take some of these technologies and improve upon them, make them better, more efficient. So ORC has been around, but this system that we have is 50% more efficient. So this could be scaled and used for any type of wasted heat, such as flaring that we have in Texas, of course, with all the oil and gas facilities, and any other combustion facility that's out there. It generates no emissions, zero emissions, no pollution whatsoever, and there is, as long as we have a heat source, we can generate power 24 hours around the clock. We can integrate it with microturbines for combined heat and power generation as well. The last technology is renewable energy generator. As you know, we have solar technology, wind technology, geothermal, and a combination of renewable energy technologies out there. This one is is a technology that's based on a microgrid approach, meaning that it's a combination of different technologies in one body that optimizes the generation and the storage and management of the energy that's generated. And by doing so, we can use less solar panels, significantly less solar panels, less microturbines, wind turbines, less storage capacity, and generate energy around the clock, 24 hours, 365 days a year. It is a very advanced, optimized battery management system. It works independent of the grid, so this is perfect for distributed generation. It can be applied any location, anywhere that we have access to sun and wind, perhaps. And as I said, it uses a lot less surface area. For instance, if you need 2 acres per megawatt of generation for solar panels, this one uses about 20 to 10% of that surface area. So you can imagine how easily this could be applied into many areas. And of course, it would then provide off-grid power generation. So these are the 5 technologies that we have in mind for the first presentation symposium. We are hoping that and excited by your approval and support that we can bring some exciting and innovative technologies to this region. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for your presentation. Are there any questions?
I have a couple of
Mr.
questions. Phil? Talk about 3 phases, timeline for phases.
So the first phase is exposing the technology directly to the industry. And with the support of Travis Woods and the Chambers of Commerce, the EDC, and the city, we would hope to be able to bring in a substantial number of industry folk to view and discuss the technology and interact directly with them on how we can apply it to their challenges today. We believe that in that first phase we could easily obtain in our first symposium, Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, probably 50 or 60 businesses to start with. And that's out of hundreds of possible prospects. The second phase, once we've engaged in the dialogue with them, we don't presume to know all of their challenges or how they can be solved. But once we engage with them, we can directly begin to study and understand how we can solve their challenges. And through that interaction, then we would begin the study and feasibility studies in each of those applications and how we could apply it. So that would take, then we go into testing. So we would scale to specific testing. For example, Matt mentioned about the advanced battery storage technology. So that battery could be, for example, used in paper mills. And so paper mills currently commonly have a room full of batteries for backup power storage. And we would look at how to apply it specifically to that application. We would test the battery and scale it to that application so that we could be responsive to the needs of that specific application. So testing is the second phase, or testing and feasibility is the second phase. Once we have accomplished the testing and feasibility phase, we could immediately go into commercialization. Because we will be doing this not independently, we'll be doing it hand in hand with the chemical plant engineers and operators. We will hear from them exactly what it is that they need. Therefore, we will be able to be responsive to their needs and be able to provide solutions specifically for their needs. So we go straight into, in phase 3, we would go into commercialization, which would allow us to then ramp up to manufacturing, assembly, and distribution.
Next question I had, I'm Jim. talk about Lamar University, but yet you're requesting fund from a government body from Port Arthur, Texas. And can this thing, if this board move forward, can this thing happen in Port Arthur, Texas?
Yes, sir. Actually, we've toured more than one Lamar University campus. In fact, one of the technologies we specifically have talked about the application of that technology, the testing of that technology in the Lamar University in Port Arthur, in addition to other areas, other technologies that we might do in some of the other campuses. One of the things that we've talked about in our manufacturing, assembly, testing process is actually targeted for Port Arthur, not for the other areas. So actually the majority, the lion's share of what we are anticipating would actually take place in Port Arthur. We have contemplated the symposium, which could take place really in any facility. It's not, we're not stuck on where it needs to be. We're happy to be hosted wherever is most appropriate. And in fact, what we'd like to see is to have more than one symposium in the future.
And the next question I have, Madam Chairman, is, we talk about timeline. I've just been working on a budget with these folks, and I do projection. When do we put the foot on the ground where people are going to work? What's your timeline on this now?
So there are a couple of steps. We've got the first one is the exposure to the industry and communicating directly to understand how to respond to the industry's needs. We don't want to presume something arbitrarily without the input of the industry. And so we want those experts to come hand in hand with us and determine what that is. Once we've done that, we could immediately begin to be responsive. There are some folks here in the audience who have expressed interest in some of the technologies already, and there are specific needs that are immediate for some of the technologies. For example, the EPA has a new guideline set for emissions that specifically relates to the oil and gas industry and chemical plant facilities that must be met by 2018. Did I get that right, Travis? Is it 2018? To meet that demand, that federal mandate by 2018 means that we're already late. It means that those chemical plants need us today, and we can't help but to hurry up and introduce it to them so we can get started, because they have to have a solution. It's mandated by federal government, and we happen to have some solutions for them. So it's as immediate as we can get it going.
Any other questions? Any other board members have any questions? We ask that the council and mayor attend to open up for a question. You're welcome to come up to the mic, please. Oh, you don't want to? It doesn't matter. Can't hear the question. Good evening. My first question is, have you submitted an application to EDC yet? Has the application been provided?
No, we haven't submitted a form.
For the companies that...
I'm sorry.
This one,
Forgive me. You want me to repeat that then? So the answer is no, we have not submitted a formal application to EDC, but we're prepared to do so. We've been in dialogue with EDC and would hope to present according to what is required within the terms of those applications.
And you mentioned Lamar State College, Port Arthur. That is intended for training for what you need for your specific facility, or also as an incubator for the companies, the 50 to 60 companies in phase one that you want to be able to work with? You're asking about the one in Port Arthur specifically? So
we have contemplated, Port Arthur has the CICE, the Center for Innovation, Commercialization, and Entrepreneurship.
Lamar University in Belmont.
Forgive me. In Port Arthur, I'm sorry, got to get my geography straight.
That's okay.
In Port Arthur, what we'd like to see is an area that we could use for testing, as well as for innovation, as well as for commercialization, and for manufacturing and assembly. Absolutely.
Okay. So those 50 to 60 companies that you mentioned in phase one, they would go through the CICE program, but housing, you want to be here in Port Arthur in order to...
When you refer to housing, you're talking about of the company, of the
Yes, sir.
manufacturing technology.
Yes, sir.
So yes, we would like to house those technology innovations here in Port Arthur.
Okay. I have a better understanding now. Thank you.
Let me say, Madam Chairman, there is a great relationship with REACH and Paul Latchley and the commercialization center that the university is building. I think could be a great partnership. I think where we are is the ground where the rubber meets the road, where things happen here in Port Arthur. You know, the studies and the laboratories and all that stuff, where they're going to happen at the university level. But where the job creation and the manufacturing going to happen, going to be here. My deal, Paul, Phil, is this event that where you're going to bring 50, 60 people to showcase your technology. We have Dr. Renard here from Lamar University, and she said the 14th is occupied. Is that right, Doc? But any date other than the 14th that week on either side is available.
That get your questions answered, Councilman Hamilton? Okay. Councilman Lewis, you had some questions.
Doing well.
Councilman Lewis, you mentioned a sunset on a federal regulation, a federal mandate. Can I get a copy of that regulation?
Absolutely.
Okay, when can I get it?
I can email it to you if I just have an email address.
You get it to him.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Manager.
Councilmember Frank?
How many jobs?
I couldn't put a finger on how many jobs today until we engage with the chemical plant managers about their specific needs. But as soon as we understand their needs, we'll begin the feasibility of responding to their needs, and that will immediately result in what it takes to get it done. So we first have to engage with them, assess what needs to happen, and then we'll be able to determine that right away.
Any other questions? Any of the other council members? Mayor?
What are the skill sets that are going to be required for these jobs?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for coming. Each one is going to will have unique qualifications based on the specific technology. Some of them will be in chemical engineering, some of them will be in electrical engineering, some of them will be, there may even be even less technical in terms of just even marketing, because we'll have to determine how to expose the products to the industry. So there'll be various levels of support necessary. We're going to start with the professors and staff of the university and their engineering students in order to support the needs of the testing, and we will depending on the response we get from each of the specific applications of the plants and so forth, we'll determine what is needed to apply them within those plants. I think sometimes when I speak to Travis, he says that people that enter into plants, even if they have a specific skill, they also have to have other specific qualifications to be granted access and so forth. So I can't speak specifically to what those are, but I'll seek expert opinion on how to resolve and understand all of it.
And for those jobs that don't require degreed skills, will there be time enough for the EDC and the Texas workforce to come up with people to train?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that we absolutely focus on, no matter where in the world we are, is local economic impact. And so workforce training, education, and development is key to everything that we do. And so we would absolutely welcome a strong relationship with the EDC and anybody that would help us to make that come to fruition.
Thank you.
And I think, Phil, the mayor's talking about on the manufacturing side, we know that it's going to take the engineer and the operator and the technician to go into these plants, but on the manufacturing side, level of skill sets is going to be required to put all this stuff together.
Yes, sir. There absolutely will be assembly and manufacturing opportunities that can be done through a certification process as opposed to a full degree process. Absolutely. In fact, we have REACH Institute also does certification classes. We actually do in other areas unrelated to what we're talking about today. We have instructors for NABCEP certified solar installers, which is simply a 40-hour course, for example. We might apply some of that kind of platform, or what we do with fiber optics training, where it is also a certification process. Even though it's highly technical, it's simply a certification process. It does not have to be a full degree. And so we absolutely have opportunities at all levels.
Councilman Lewis again. I see what you're talking about, the CO2s, the SOx and the NOxes. You're talking about emissions that we're having that's going to the atmosphere already. I view, looking at this, you're going to need quite a few instrument technician and also process analyzer technician to monitor these results. Once you all get your lab and everything, application time, how long that's going to take about? I know you got to meet with the companies, find out what their process about, what kind of application you're going to have to apply. But once you, go ahead.
So the technology you're referring to, the air emissions technology,
Right.
as well as the technology that monitors emissions, it's not a matter of us testing, it's not a matter of us innovating those technologies. They are already up and running. These technologies are in full swing and full operation already. We simply need to understand the direct needs, and we could go to work tomorrow.
And you're talking about capturing the waste heat, and you're talking about generating what, steam to drive turbines or generate electricity?
Yes, sir. So the ORC technology sometimes uses also turbine technology in conjunction, a microturbine, and so and it can be done with steam or other kinds of fluid. It's a closed-loop system, and so we can capture wasted heat and then generate energy out of it. This is also a technology that's been around for, I think, 40 years.
Yeah, it's been around for quite a while.
We're simply innovating it even further to a 50% higher output and applying it specifically once we engage with the industry here, specifically with this industry.
You also will probably be, once you capture the waste heat and utilize that on generating superheated steam, something like that, to drive these turbines to generate electricity, you're also going to be generating revenue to put them on the grid.
So absolutely, the technology has the ability to generate revenue through many ways. One of them would be to generate power for the grid where there is, within the world, where there is specific legislation that allows for that. We absolutely can do that. In fact, it's one of the things that I focus on. I have written and passed legislation myself, and I have a bill pending now in the Senate as well. So it's absolutely something that is possible where it is appropriate.
Once you all implement this technology, I also am applying it to the grid, selling it back to energy. So that tells me that in the future, energy will not have to do any more expansions. They could just buy what you all are generating off the grid.
Absolutely an option, and one that we would work with anybody to help to achieve if that was their desire.
Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've been working with these folks now for about 6 months, so we've been working at them throughout the process. Obviously, when we talk about getting to the point where we're going to do the research and fabrication, they're obviously going to need a facility. So when we were talking with Councilman Hamilton, one of the things that the city has is the old cold box facility, which before that was the old armory that was given to the city. For the cold box facility, we made a bunch of improvements to that facility. It's unfortunate that that company couldn't stay together here in Port Arthur, but that building is in great shape. So these gentlemen have seen it, and part of what I wanted tonight is for council to know that we've been looking at that building for the research and development and fabrication and manufacture of the technology as well, located right here in Port Arthur. There still are some other steps that we need to take advantage of. We've kind of gotten a head nod from EDA to potentially match up that building as a match through some other funding. Way too early to be really talking about that at this point, but I wanted to make sure that everybody was kind of aware that that's kind of what we're looking at this point. Madam Chair, do you have any other questions of the board? Forward.
Symposium, funds are being requested from the EDC for the symposium. What sponsoring bodies are going to be involved in putting on the symposium where you have the possible clients?
Is that for me or for the manager?
Whoever can answer it.
So first of all, obviously Reach Innovation Centers, as well as the City of Port Arthur, the Port Arthur EDC, Lamar University, depending on which campus or campuses, as well as TNL Solutions. We've had some already some willingness and previous support from Mr. Hayes and his company, and so there are local companies as well as those that we would bring that are with the technologies, and those companies come also from Canada, Israel, and other parts of the United States.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much, and thank you.
We'll be looking at the issue further on in our agenda. Thank you. Our next item is communications from Burma PLLC.
In your packets is a letter from Guy regarding an Attorney General opinion, and since we have a lot to get to, I will let you all read it, and if you have any questions, feel free to call Guy or I. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
There's some additional communication that we received today from Channel 12. Is that in the package? Okay.
Take a few seconds to if anybody else wants to. Ready to move forward, Mr. Ortiz? Okay. Under unfinished business, report from the...
Madam Chair, I think there was some requests from Channel 12
Gardy.
Which one is it? I'm sorry.
Did I know?
It came in today, and we stuck it in your package because I think the event is Friday. Friday, is that right, Renata?
I believe it was June 10th, so it's Friday.
And it's an event, it's a press club of Southeast Texas. Tell you, this year they are pleased to announce that put off the city manager, Brian McDougal, as a top nominee for newsmaker.
Mr. Ortiz, was this on the agenda?
And we received it today. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we can't.
All right.
Can't deal with it. We'll move on to unfinished business. Report from the Purchasing Policy Committee regarding the purchasing policy. We have a copy of the recommendations for you to look at as a policy, and we can talk about that at the time that we give that. Is that sufficient? Or does someone want to comment about the policy? Any questions about the policy that you read?
Are we going to talk about it now?
We were going to talk about it. We were going to talk about it at the time that.
So I would say wait till the time it comes up.
Okay, we'll do that. So we'll move forward to the non-consent agenda items. The first one, to discuss for possible consideration entering into an economic incentive discussion with Reach Innovation Center of Illinois, the City of Port Arthur, and Lamar University for possible location of a research and development lab and a possible manufacturing facility in Port Arthur.
Yes, Madam Chairman, board members, you guys have heard the presentation by Mr. Fisher and Mr. Wood. As the manager said, there has been discussion with both of these gentlemen since November of this year. I did invite them down here, and happy to see you come down from Chicago, Phil. And what I'm asking here is to move forward with continuous discussion and possible economic incentive with these folks. You guys heard, there's a lot of research and development, there's a lot of prep work, but in the end it's going to be job creation. And my request here is to begin dialoguing with this organization to see exactly what we could do to help them and what they need from us.
A lot of questions already answered, so I'll make a motion to approve. Make a motion to approve.
Well, I just want to, because sure that we're following our policies. It's my understanding, and based upon what Councilman Hamilton asked the representative from REACH, had they submitted an application, but our policy is that you submit a letter of intent, and then after we receive the letter of intent, then we make a decision if we want to move forward with the application. As of right now, at least as I understand your response to Councilman Hamilton's question, is we have not received a letter of intent or anything from you. So I would think that we need to get that letter of intent, because at least according to our policies, the questions that she's asked would be answered in that letter of intent, such as your organization's experience, what do you propose to do, how much grant and funds that you're going to request and use. The answers to those questions would be in a letter of intent. So I would think we need to get that letter of intent first, and then we can decide whether or not we want to discuss it. That's our policies. I think we need to stick to our policies.
Isn't that we're giving Floyd permission to move forward? We can do that, and then all of that would come.
This agenda item is just for him to continue the discussion. I agree, Director Adams, we need a letter of intent, because as far as Guy and I are concerned, we can't give you a recommendation on whether or not this fits into the Development Act, but this is not approving a letter of intent. It's just an FYI to the board, and to let you all know, Mr. Batiste is working with the city on this potential project, and before anything is done, we will need a letter of intent, and this just allows Floyd to speak with Mr. Fisher to obtain that letter of intent.
I guess my specific matter in terms of being a point of privilege would be, again, they've already been in discussions. I mean, the city manager has been in discussions. He's been in discussions with Mr. Baptiste. So, didn't you just say you've been in discussions with 4 or 5 people? So discussions have already been ongoing in terms of our ability to act. Our policies say we need a letter of intent. So I don't mind you discussing all you want, but in terms of us voting as far as an action item, he's been discussing.
There have been no discussion between myself and Fisher and Wood. The discussion been with the city, and that's why I'm asking you guys to move forward to engage this board in the discussion with what these guys are trying to accomplish here.
So at some point, you are going to send us a letter of intent, right?
Yes.
All right. Gotcha.
We'll revisit that, Mr. Roberts.
Motion.
It's a motion on the floor. Second. There's a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. This is to allow Mr. Baptiste to go into discussion with the organization. The next item is to discuss for possible consideration reimbursement of cost associated with an advanced technology symposium industry event not to exceed $15,000. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, Madam Chairman, again, you heard Mr. Fisher talk about the event that they would like to put on at Lamar University. Again, 6 months ago, back in October, discussion began, and there was an event planned way back then. I became ill, and the event was planned, but didn't happen. And, these guys, it's going to take an event like this to expose industry to the technologies that these folks from the University of Illinois trying to bring here. And what I am proposing is if this board would wish to contribute about $15,000 toward making this event possible. I'm also asking that this event be held here in Port Arthur at Lamar State College. If this board approve, and I'm asking you guys to spend no more than $15,000 toward this particular event.
Question, Madam Chair. There looked like there were lots of sponsors in the event that was planned back in February. And so my question would be, who else is contributing to sponsoring this event?
You're going to have Lamar University, you're going to have Reddy that's involved with this, you're going to have the city of Port Arthur, you're going to have Reach themselves, you're going to have Mr. Wood, Larry, who's the local guy. It's a lot of work is bringing all these people together.
More than 15,000?
Yes, ma'am.
So all those other bodies have approved to participate?
But I cannot say, Madam Chair.
Question?
So how did you come to the $15,000 number?
There was an estimate of about $27,000 to $30-something thousand for this, and I'm just asking. I just came up with a number not to exceed, or you could change that number to whatever this board wished to if you want to participate.
Because when you say reimbursement, you saying that they spent 27?
What I'm saying when I say reimburse, means that something have to happen. They have to pay, produce an invoice, and we reimburse. It's not just giving your money away.
So we would be co-sponsors to the event?
Yeah.
So you're going to request it be here in Port Arthur?
I am going to, as I said to Phil, Phil and to Mr. Wood, if this board going to contribute, I would like to see plant managers, industry come to Port Arthur for this particular event. We checked with Dr. Renard from Lamar University. They had planned, or would like to have planned this event is the 14th. That particular day, the Carl Parker Center is occupied, but as you guys heard Dr. Renard say, 2 days prior to, 2 days after, that facility is available.
The 14th of what?
July. They would change if it's.
You're asking that we commit half of the cost of the event?
Yes, ma'am. But in the end, folks, after talking to Phil on the phone and talking to the manager, talking to Paul, Port Arthur going to be the beneficiary of this, if this thing really happened, because again, a lot of research and development going to be done at the local university, but the manager talks about the facility on 57th Street. We talk about the manufacturing facilities, manufacturing the products, the end products here in Port Arthur. So in the end, this community will benefit.
So long-term, you're saying that we'll benefit, but initially, it would be Lamar University, the university actually that would be the initial startup of this project.
Mr. Wood, are you available? Phil? Paul? Can I get Paul? Yeah, I think the startup would be here in Port Arthur. The building that they are currently looking at right now is the old Armory building that they're going to locate this facility in. Because of research and development in the facility at Lamar University, Paul, can you cut?
Mr. Hayes had a comment.
Madam Chairman and board members, this possibility of innovation, I would hope that once you had this symposium, that you would have an agreement that certain activities, certain job opportunities would happen in Port Arthur. And I'm just saying that as a citizen. I'm not representing. I was fortunate enough, Mr. Wood told me about this opportunity, and I did go to Chicago. Let me just mention a couple things about REACH is a part of the Larkin organization, and Larkin family are the people that started Motorola. And when they sold out Motorola, they had this research facility south of downtown Chicago. And I think when you all are in Chicago, it would be worth your while to go there. It's very impressive. But sometimes I can see in y'all's positions, these are moving targets in a sense, but we have to start someplace. And the building on 57th Street, if you haven't been in that building recently, that was the old United States Armory facilities, and they gave that to the city of Port Arthur. The U.S. Army gave it to the city of Port Arthur. You all helped Coldbox go in there, and there was a lease with the city of Port Arthur. It was fixed up, in my opinion, it's first class building. It's been sitting vacant for about 3 years. There's nothing happening there. This would put that building to use for nearly Basically, all the technologies, and as you all know, I'm not a scientist, but all the technologies need EPA approval. So the testing of all this reductions that these guys talk about has to be tested to be sure that what they say it will do. These guys are a lot smarter than I am, so Paul and Mr. Wood can come up with it. I think, I'm not suggesting what you all do, I'm just saying that this is an opportunity that doesn't come along every day. Thank you.
If I could just add something, I'm going to introduce Paul Latchley, engineering at Lamar University. When this stuff came around over a year and a half ago for me, I took some folders to the plant people and said, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Because I'm a businessman, but not that technology-minded, so to speak, on electrical, yes. But I saw a chance for fabrication shops to go to work. I saw a chance for welders and pipe fitters. Mayor Prince, you asked what kind of people would go to work. Anybody from someone who sweeps the floor all the way up to an analyzer technician. We had these guys from Chicago come in town, and I got Paul Latchley involved with the engineering department and said, hey, what do you think? I mean, is this a real deal? Well, these guys came in town for the NOx reduction unit. I took them to TCEQ. Hey, what do y'all think? Look at that stuff. And I sat over in the corner and shut my mouth. And TCEQ, Texas Air Quality, they don't hardly like nobody. So then my boys jumped on board and called Austin, Texas, had somebody on the telephone, on the speakerphone, and they went through about 2 hours of drilling these guys, and they loved what they heard, okay? So they'll also be at this meeting, because if they like it, then I like it. And this is Paul Latchley, Lamar University Engineering Department.
Actually, I'm Paul Latchley. I'm the director of the CICE, the Center for Innovation, Commercialization, Entrepreneurship. So I work with the different colleges across here. And I want to echo the same thing that Floyd says. We're just trying to enable the technology. What we try to view ourselves being something that brings together technologies to industry and see if it works. I've talked with Phil several times, and the technology looks promising, but I think while you were asking, will it work here? And that's exactly the question we're trying to answer. So the way I look at it, just like Phil kind of laid out, the first phase of the symposium, the objective is not necessarily a marketing symposium, it's a market validation symposium. That is to verify that what we think and what Travis has found out, that this technology will work, but it will. So we have technologists to answer the questions. So that's the first step, and that's what we're looking at helping with, whether it's done in Port Arthur or Lamar. Lamar was the host for this before, but I'm certainly happy to have it at Port Arthur. We'll be there in attendance to support it. We're just trying to keep things moving forward in terms of the technology basis. So I'm not trying to unduly influence you, just want to give you a bigger picture for it. But Travis really is the one who has the most contacts, and he has the better sense, I think, as to what could be developed.
I think the agenda item, at least as I read it, is there's a reimbursement of cost associated with this advanced technology event not to exceed $15,000. And as I understand from Mr. Baptiste, somebody has represented to him that the cost of the event would be somewhere around $27,000.
I can't answer that.
Okay, so my question is who here that's affiliated with REACH or this particular event, how did you get that cost of $27,000?
Thank you. Yes. So we have 5 technologies presented on the paper that you have in front of you. Each one of them has at least 2 representatives that would come. We have all of the travel related to that, all of the presentation information related to that. As I mentioned earlier, some of the technologies are from other countries, not just around the United States, as well as the operation of what it takes to implement the event itself. So there is a detail of that. I don't have it in front of me, but I'd be happy to provide it for you.
I think it's premature for us to vote on whether or not we're going to give you $15,000, and we don't even have a breakdown specific. specifically of how you got to the $27,000. I mean, if the event is going to cost 27, I mean, I would think that we would get something from you saying, okay, here's how we get to this particular number. Also, here's the money that we're going to put into the event, and then also here are the other people who are willing to help support and sponsor this event, and then in turn we're in a position that we can vote. But just to blindly give you $15,000 and all we got is, well, the event is going to be somewhere around $27,000, and as Mrs. Holmes stated, you want our board to pay half of that. I think that's, because I'm addressing the action item. The action item would be for us to give you up to $15,000 in a vote today, and I think that's too early. We haven't got anything from you.
Madam Chairman, so the agenda items state, it reads, to discuss for possible consideration reimbursement of costs associated not to exceed $15,000. It's not to give, it's to reimburse based upon the cost of this event, whatever it costs. It may cost $40,000. We really don't know what it's going to cost us to do. But what I'm asking this board is to reimburse whatever it costs to put on this event, not to exceed $15,000. You could choose to participate in the event or not participate. Whatever costs associated with this, they would have to produce invoice showing us what that money was, what they used the money for. Or like we do with every other project, we pay vendors direct. You know, it's not to give, it's to reimburse.
I think the question is, though, and I understand totally what you're saying is to reimburse, but should the EDC reimburse at 50%? Is the question. And I think maybe we should consider a percentage based on, and I'm real big on percentages, y'all, but based on the other people or the other organizations that are participating in the event. If there are 5 organizations that are participating, and it may be in-kind expenses that other organizations would provide. I mean, Lamar University may be hosting it, and that may be what the amount of money that they do, but we need to, because the event could be $20,000, and then we voted to spend $15,000. And so I think we just need to consider a percentage or something. I'm throwing that out for the board to consider.
I'll make a motion that we table this matter. This representative said he can get us a document about this. Didn't you say?
I have cost copies, projected costs. I have a printout of projected costs. But again, members of this board, we don't know what this thing is going to cost us. Okay, they don't know what this thing is going to cost us. They don't know what this thing is. And I want to say to this board, I think Mr. Wood said that $15,000 is very little money when you may be talking about billions of dollars 5 years from now. You know, so, and I make this recommendation looking at what effect, we may get no effect, but what could happen if this thing materialized in this community. It's a very small investment for what the potential is for this community. And I think the board needs to see things farther than June 14th. They need to see things 2020, 2025. Because what these guys are talking about is research and development technology, future technology. And it's going to happen here in Port Arthur. It's going to happen here in Port Arthur. And
I think we agree with and understand that and respect that. But it could cost $50,000. So if it costs $50,000, we may say that it is worth 25% of that to do that. So my thought is, if we give a percentage, we're not limiting the amount of money we're spending because we don't know what we're starting with. We don't know if it's going to cost $80,000 to put this on. And if we're willing to invest 25% of $80,000, I just think that's just a better way to look at it. But
my motion, and maybe the board members disagree, is again to table this. Mr. Baptiste, do you want to take an executive session?
I don't think it's an executive session. It can't be taken into executive session. So you just need to...
Just vote no. I'm going to make the motion. I'll make the motion that we table it. I mean, Mr. Baptiste says he had projections. I mean...
Madam Chair, if I may just make one last comment.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I did before I was in sustainability and renewable energy is produce events. I'm an event producer. I'm a professor of event management at Columbia College for 11 years. Events is what I do for 30 years. To produce an event at an $80,000 amount, as Madam Chair contemplated, or to produce an event at $27,000 is also possible. What we would hope to do and pray for your support today is to determine at what scale we can produce an event. I've produced events at very, very small levels and at very, very large levels. I produce events for 3 million people or for a couple hundred people. The major driving factor in that is the financial resources that go into producing such an event, including in-kind contribution support. I would ask that you consider the event not for what it needs to be specifically, but for what scale at which you would like to participate and see it be successful here. Because at whatever number you would honor us with, we could produce something that I believe you would be tremendously excited about the results of, as opposed to us providing you with information that is simply a benchmark that says this is where we'd like it to be. One example of that would be, do we have a special guest speaker that flies in from out of town, or do we not have the money to afford that? It's very simple. If we don't, we don't. These are some of the things that are deciding factors that are based on where we start, which is what is the basis of the financial resources available. And I would ask that we start here as opposed to everywhere else possible and then bringing it back. Thank you.
Make a motion to reimburse not to exceed up to $15,000. Second it.
It's a motion. No. We had a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
There was no second. Was there a second?
Well, I didn't call for one. Is there a second to the motion on the floor to delay this action? Okay, motion fails for lack of a second.
Make a motion to reimburse not to exceed the $15,000. Second it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Please signify. I'm sorry. All those opposed? Sorry. That's okay. Any opposition? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Next item is to discuss for possible consideration First Amendment to the incentive agreement with Gulf Coast Warehousing.
Madam Chairman, we're going to ask to table this one for this meeting, come back to you next meeting.
The next item on the agenda is to discuss for possible consideration a letter of intent from Strong Tower Ministries for the purchase of 2 acres of land in the Highway 73 Business Park.
Madam Chairman, I think in your package there is a letter of intent from the ministry to purchase 2 acres of land on Highway 73. I think we have Mr. Fontenot is here today. I'm not sure. He is, if he has any question. Crystal.
Mr. Fontenot?
My name is Herbert Fontenot. I'm the pastor of Strong Tower Ministries, and we have submitted a letter of intent to purchase 2 acres of land on Highway 73 and 9th Avenue. The intent that we have placed a price for $50,000. We have submitted that to the board, and we have a strong desire to purchase that land and to build a sanctuary there.
Madam Chairman, if I may, we discussed this a little bit. I just would like to remind the board that this is a commercial business park. That's what it was intended to be. And that later on your agenda items, you do have another person offering to purchase property in that same business park for $70,000 per acre. So I'd just like you all to keep it in mind. And also, this item, since it is discussing real estate, you guys can take it into executive session if you're uncomfortable continuing discussion.
We'll move it to executive session, if that's okay with the board.
Or any of the board members
If you have a question,
please go ahead.
We certainly need to ask
Well, I think that's the question. The purpose.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm sorry. I guess my question is for the lawyer. The legal question is it a problem with us selling the land to them for, since they're going to put up a church, does that cause any legal issues or not?
It's more kind of you guys' vision for the business park. Legally, it doesn't go against any of the zoning there, but it's the pleasure of the board if you all want it to be more of a commercial business park or not. And again, you all can take that into executive session, but it doesn't go against any of the any zoning issues. We don't have any of those here.
Basically, until we have executive session, vote on anything in the executive session.
We'd have to vote when we came out.
Right.
Right, we would have to vote when we come out, so you'd have to wait till we come out of the executive session.
Or we can notify him
We can
tomorrow.
notify him. He doesn't have to wait, but he can be notified.
That might be real late.
Whatever suits the board best would be fine with us.
Thank you, Madam Fontaine. The next item.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have another letter of intent from Port Arthur Recycling. They are looking to build a scrap metal recycling center in the Spur 93 Business Park. We also have representatives from that company here today. It looks like the project is estimated to be $1,025,000, and they're asking a request of $380,000 from the EDC, which $200,000 would be used toward the building, with $180,000 toward heavy industrial equipment. Now, this is just the Phase 1 letter of intent, so it would be a pleasure of the board to instruct staff to move forward with the full application. And, Madam Chair, if I may, Guy and I do need to, if the board chooses to proceed forward with this, we do need to work with them on the NAICS code to make sure the project they're presenting will qualify. The current one does not, but sometimes there's another one out there that could possibly work, and so this would also allow us to work with them and determine whether or not we could get a better NAICS code that comports with the Development Act. The motion, if you guys would like, would just be to proceed forward and allow Floyd, the staff, and us to work with them to revise their application, for Floyd and Crystal to prepare, performance milestones, and the next step would be presenting you guys an incentive application. So this is just authorizing us to move forward.
Anybody here?
I am not sure.
I have a few questions. I understand that this is going to be a warehouse, right?
It's going to be a storage facility for our inventory.
Your inventory is recycled material?
Is recycled material availability, processing, and recycling at the yard.
Can't hear you.
This will be the material availability, processing, and recycling at the yard.
And how many employees? Because I was looking at the back. Is that about 15 employees that you would?
Over the course of 3 years, we estimate to get up to about 15 to 20 employees.
Looking at, so for the 15 employees that this facility would basically hire, the grant that you're requesting from our EDC would be $380,000. Is that right?
That is correct. That's a conservative number that we had. We discussed it with Mr. Batiste.
How big is the building that you're proposing?
Building is 100 by 100.
Because you're asking for a grant of $380,000 to produce 15 jobs, and then the jobs that you're producing of the 15 jobs, the majority of them are between $8 to $16 an hour?
Majority of them are from $12 to $18 an hour. These are operators and skilled employees.
I got the 8 that has manual labor, $8 to $11 an hour. You see that on page 3, phase 1 application?
Right.
That's why I said the majority from about 8 to 16. The only reason I raised that question, the only reason I raised that question is that you want $380,000 of EDC money, but your jobs are going to be primarily 8 to 15, maybe $16, and it would be a total of roughly 15 jobs that you would basically produce.
50, these are conservative numbers in the start of the years. It does, it will take time to build up. And 15 is not going to be the eventual number, at the peak of operations.
Your total estimated cost would be $1,025,000?
That's the capital cost of the entire project, yes.
Other than coming to the EDC, and I see the rest of your costs would be coming from your board members, are you guys going to seek money from any kind of lending institutions?
Credit institutions, no, sir.
And Mr. Batiste, in terms of our ability to give assistance, I understand that we can do grants and or loans.
Yes, sir.
Hold on a second. And what I think that he's requesting is not a loan from us, but a grant for $380,000.
An applicant could come here and he could request $1 million for this particular project. We have a formula and within the formula, it states the total capital investment, the total number of jobs created, and the wages that's going to be paid. And based upon that formula, it tells me what to recommend. He could recommend $800,000. That means nothing to us. You know, his request is his request. But the recommendation going to be made based upon his total capital investment, the total number of jobs he's going to create, and the dollar wages that he's going to be paid. So until we know that, we cannot tell you what incentive he's going to get. He can make any request.
He can tell me something, which is, we do know that the cost of the project is $1,025,000.
Sure.
He's asking for $300,000 at least from us. Now, what you're saying is that you can ask for whatever you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it. My question to him is, since you're asking for the $300,000, let's say with Mr. Baptiste's formula, he's only willing to give a grant, or recommend, not willing, but recommend a grant of, let's say, $100,000. Could you still move forward with the project?
It will take us a longer time to get up to, or to get, to get the business up to this start, to where we can hire employees at the rate that we have listed on the paper.
Without that 300 number,
it will handicap us to start up, yes.
It will handicap you to start up?
It will handicap our startup.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we look into, to discuss the consideration of this letter of intent, that we authorize Mr. Batiste and his staff to enter into discussion about it, and for...
Second that. There's a motion and a second in discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Number 6, to discuss for possible consideration a letter of intent from Armand Caballera to purchase 3 acres of land in Highway 73 Business Park and a possible economic incentive for the purpose of constructing a warehouse.
Again, Madam Chairman, the board, we have another applicant who is making a request to purchase property on 73 to build a warehouse. Another letter of intent, and making some requests for an economic incentive.
Again, on this gentleman's application, there was no NAICS code, so if you authorize Mr. Batiste and Crystal to move forward, we'd make sure that they complete the letter of intent and the application fully, and so that we're able to determine whether or not the warehouse fits in with an NAICS code that's approved in the Development Act. But again, this isn't committing you to doing an economic incentive. It is just allowing staff to move forward and come up with some recommendations and to see if this project would work. As far as the purchase of the 3 acres, since that is actually, both of these are executive session items, so if you would like to discuss that, you can bring that into executive session.
Well, you're saying we can bring the first half to executive session and...
You actually can bring both. You can bring incentives into executive session as well.
Let me say, the request is just a letter of intent to move forward with an application. It's not to make a decision. It's only to move forward with an application. Once we have the application, we will bring back the information to you guys to make a decision. All we're asking here is, do you want to move forward with the request or not?
I think actually what we said in number 4, we took to executive session, the part about the land purchase. So I think in
it's just a letter of intent. It's not to purchase. It's an intent to purchase. if you want to move forward with it, you move forward. If not, you just, we could take all these letters of intent in executive session and all you guys decide. We don't have enough information to really make decisions, because all they're doing is making a request to this board to put in an application. That's it.
I think it's the board's decision. My opinion is we took one letter into consideration for the purposes of determining. I think there was an offer of $50,000 on one, $70,000, or difference in cost. We took it into, so the board needs to decide.
And you're right, I'm looking at the agenda. Number 2 is strictly to purchase. This one here is an economic incentive to move forward economic. The number, which one was it, Pete? Number was to purchase property. This one is to enter into an economic incentive. And all
and to purchase property.
It's all part of the same deal. The property, see, when you enter an economic incentive, it could be for the land, the building, the equipment, all that is part of it.
For clarification, how is 4 that we're going to discuss in executive session different from 6, with the exception of the last part where it says and possible economic incentives?
That's the difference. Number 4 is to purchase property from you guys. It's a letter of intent. They want to purchase property from you guys. And I think that you could discuss that in executive session, because it is a purchase.
And I think number 4, we talked about as far as sanctuary compared to the covenants in that business park. As a business park, and that's what we were taking into consideration going into the executive session.
The executive session part, y'all out here, the purchase of property and how much you all want to sell a piece of property, you can take that into executive session. So that was purely whether or not you wanted to accept Strong Tower Ministries' letter of intent to purchase property. On number 6, it's the pleasure of the board. Mr. Batista is correct. If you all just would like to authorize him to move forward with coming up with a recommendation for y'all, you can. However, if you would like to split it into discussing the purchase of the property in executive session, but allowing him to move forward with an economic incentive out here, that's fine too. It's the pleasure of the board. Mr. Anderson, like Mr. Batiste said, the main difference here is Strong Towers. They're just coming to purchase property from you guys. They're not asking for a grant. They're not asking for anything. They're just sent to you in your packets, their letter of intent with kind of some terms in it. And this is different because they're actually wanting an incentive. Like I said, their application is incomplete, so we need to work with them on that. But it's up to you all if you want us all to move forward with that.
You mentioned earlier on number 4, and I just want to be clear on this, is that you said that one company offered $50,000 or something and the other was $70,000. Is this the item you're talking about? Yes. So we're talking about 2 different purchase costs. Yes. And so if we move forward with saying that we're going to, because if we take off the, and I really apologize, I don't mean to be going through this, but if we take off and a possible economic incentive, 6 and 4 are the same thing. And the reason we were bringing it to executive session was because of the cost of the property. I just want the board to be clear on that. We were bringing it to executive session because of the cost. I agree that the second part of this sentence we probably we need to vote on, but the first part we will bring to executive session, and the reason we said we were bringing number 4 was because we were selling the same property at different rates So we need to decide what the rate is we're going to sell the property for. Do we want to sell the property to people for different cost? That was my whole...
I think I have a better understanding of what's going on in 6, and correct me if I'm wrong. Because of the incentive that could possibly take place, the cost of the land and the development of the incentive program kind of works together. Okay, so it's kind of impossible to separate those two.
So it would be appropriate to sell one, because this was the issue you raised. That's why we took number 4 out, that we could sell one property for one cost and another property for another.
That's up to you guys. I don't think the board has ever set a price for Highway 73, so I can't speak to how much you've sold it in the past. I'm not really sure. It's really the pleasure of you guys, whatever y'all want to do on this item. If you want to move forward, great. If you want to take a portion of it into executive session, I'm just letting you know you're authorized to do it. You don't have to do any of those things. So just whatever the board wants to do.
Just think that Floyd just wanted to move forward with the project, and we can always discuss it in executive session where we're going to sell every acre for.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we can still just... we can go to executive session. Wait a minute.
What was
because all this states is if we're going to move forward with it, and that's it. I mean, he's not going to purchase anything or... I think, yeah, but it's just to move forward to talk, right? Is that what it is?
Can I have a point of order? Just purely the order of our policies. I mean, I try to keep this book with me. We had a workshop 2015 Board of Directors, and in that, I mean, we got policies, and we stick to our policies. But to my understanding, and you were there, I mean, y'all put together this packet, a letter of intent, by definition, at least from what y'all gave us, all grant applicants are required to submit a letter of intent to the CEO prior to submitting a full application and supporting documents. The letter of intent is on a 1 to 2 page letter briefly describing the project. In the letter of intent, you should have 3 things before we can even do anything. Your organization and his experience in the field. Let's look at this letter. Where is his experience in the field? I don't see it in this letter. Let's follow our policies. Y'all give us these workshops that we need to follow. What do you propose to do? State if the project is a new business or expansion. Then, hold on, and here's where I'm going with that. Then let's look, is that in the letter? Then the last thing, the amount of the grant request and how the funds will be used, the amount of the total project, and other sources of the funds. Once we get a complete letter of intent, then the second page of the workshop that y'all gave us is staff verified the project is for a economic development project, and then if it's no, we stop. If yes, we continue. Well, just looking at the letter of intent, it appears to me that it's incomplete based upon our own bylaws. So if we follow our bylaws, it shouldn't take us 15 minutes to talk about this. The letter doesn't comply with our bylaws. Since it doesn't comply with our bylaws, there's nothing for us to vote on tonight. Send it back to them and have them write a letter that complies with the bylaws. Stick to your bylaws.
I think that's what Mr. Baptiste was asking.
Absolutely.
Right. And just for the board clarity, this is not part of the bylaws. These are processes that we put in place. And the letter of intent basically says that we want to purchase property and build a warehouse on that property. That's basic. That tells us enough. And what we have to do is find out, does it meet the NEISC code?
I'd like to make a motion that we allow Mr. Baptiste and staff to move forward in helping or discussing with this group how to get the correct letter of intent to us so that they can move forward in assisting them.
I second it.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition, motion carries. number 7, to discuss for possible consideration granting or waiving the business sign restrictions as set forth in Spur 93 Business Park covenants and restrictions for clay development for the construction of a new business.
Madam Chairman and the board, I think we could remove this, and I went back to the covenants and restriction, and the sign, the covenants does allow for sign on the building. I think we thought it was just a mounted sign, and that's why we're asking to request a waiver, but the covenants does allow signs on the building.
Okay. Remove item number 7. Item number 8, to discuss for possible consideration approval of change order number 2 to the site grading contract with Alco.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, board members, Alco currently they're currently doing some dirt movement in the park for us, and I'm coming to you guys with a change order because we have found a large hole in the park that exposed a gas line, and I'm asking Alco, since they're out there, to fill that hole up and cover that gas line. I have Mr. Cole from Arsenal and Gates, who's kind of managing that project for us. Can you tell us what's going on, Keaton?
I think Floyd covered most of it, but basically what happened is while the contractors were on site, we came across a washout behind one of the existing inlets, and it had uncovered a water line and partially uncovered a gas line. So we brought it to Floyd.
Steel pipes?
The water line is PVC, the gas line is HDPE.
Okay. And just eroded in that area, and what we need to do is put dirt and pack it and cover it up.
Yeah, but I was thinking the responsibility of covering that pipe, those pipelines would be the owner of those facilities, wouldn't it? Because if it's not a dedicated above-ground crossing, then the companies can't just lay a water line on top of the ground, and even though it's a washout, it's on top of the ground now, and it can't just lay a gas line on top of the ground. Because if the EDC, my problem with this is that if the EDC hires someone to go out and cover the pipeline, and we don't support that pipeline underneath, and the pressure on top of the ground breaks that line, who's responsible? The EDC, right? So I think we need to talk with the owners of those facilities first.
Texas Gas, you say talk to Texas Gas?
If it's Texas Gas, you talk with Texas Gas. If it's
I spoke to the city. And the city said it's our obligation, and I did not call Texas Gas. I called because it's a water line and a gas line that's exposed.
And the city says it's the EDC obligation to,
It's not in that property. It's in our property, on our side.
Is it a main line?
Yes, it's a main distribution line.
A distribution line, that belongs to the city of Port Arthur.
I had the city go out there, Commissioner.
I don't understand then. Maybe.
It is a main distribution line?
It's a main distribution line. It should be in that's city easement, or is it what?
In the city easement.
It's a pipeline easement.
The water line's it's in the right of way, the street right of way.
Right of way.
What I'm saying is, if we go out and cover those, and the city says, okay, I require you to put so much base underneath my pipe, and so much above the line. The same thing with the gas, because if you're going to take this pin here and you don't have nothing underneath and put all this weight on top of it, you're going to break it. I'm just saying, you might consider that. You might consider talking to the.
So you're suggesting I should contact Texas Gas?
Yes, sir.
I think we need to hold back and contact Texas Gas before we.
I can take care of it.
Yeah. Call Thomas tomorrow.
So we're removing item number 8 from the agenda. Mr. Baptiste?
Well, the only question I have, Keith and Mayor, I hear what you're saying, remove it, and I certainly appreciate if we remove this thing, it doesn't come back for another month. Will these guys still be out there, or do I have to go find somebody else to get it done? You see, because they're going to be demobilized.
Yeah, and their contract is up next week.
Yeah, what I'm saying, if Texas Gas says up to me, to get this done, because I don't know what Texas Gas is going to tell me, and right now I have a contract out there. That's why I'm bringing it to you guys. It's probably going to cost us more money because the contract is going to be gone, and we're just going to have to go out and find somebody else to come back and do it, which is going to cost us a little more money. But I agree with you. I need to check. I certainly understand what you're saying.
I'm pretty sure that either Texas Gas or Kinder Morgan, whoever the pipeline belongs to, will come out there and look at that and cover that themselves. Now, I don't know what the city of Port Arthur is going to do.
Well, they have been out there. The city has been out there.
If it's approved, we can just require the contractor that he contacts, or we'll contact Texas Gas, have the city and everybody on site when they actually perform the work, and that way it's done to their satisfaction.
But I certainly understand what Commissioner is saying, because it's like the pen. If you put too much weight on the pen, it could, and I don't want to be responsible for the brake. I think what Keaton is saying is, commissioners have the contractor that's ready to do the work contact Texas Gas, and if Texas Gas is going to do it, let them do it. If not, then go back to the contractor to get it done. At least we'll know. At least we've touched base with the principal. We're on that line.
Just go to that hotline, call before you dig, and they'll send somebody out.
What do you want to do with the item, Mr. Baptiste?
As I said,
Who wants to vote on it?
what would you recommend? Because if I lose my contract, it's going to cost me more money.
Do the call before you dig. If they do the call before you dig, they come out 24 hours. And then go from there.
But this motion is contingent on...
Yeah, could we do it contingent upon
Because I would hate for you to pay money to cover someone else's facilities.
Right. Madam Chairman, could I ask that you guys move this thing forward contingent upon us contacting Texas Gas, making Texas Gas aware of the problem and the condition. If they choose to rectify the problem, then they will take care of it, and I won't use the contract at all. If not, then I'd rather have the contractor that's there than having to go out and bid this thing out or try to find another contractor, because it's going to cost money to mobilize.
Sure. You're the expert. He asked, was that in writing? Would that be in writing?
Florida, for the board to know if it was what the gas company report's going to be. It's just a phone call.
Just a phone call.
There's a 1-800.
You call Tom, we call Arthur tomorrow. I'll give Arthur a call tomorrow and get him in the contract on the phone tomorrow. And
I'll have the contractor call the 811 dig hotline, and then I'll also contact our contacts with Texas Gas directly and have them come out and meet us on site.
The motion.
What was the motion?
The motion is for continued upon us contacting the 1-800 number, and if Texas Gas are going to take care of the work, let them do it. If not, I'm going to make the contractor to do it.
I make the motion to approve the agenda item contingent on the information we received from contacting Texas Gas.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 9, to discuss and approve a request for funding from the Breeze radio station for advertising.
Madam Chairman, you received a letter in your package from the Breeze radio station requesting funds for advertising in the amount of $4,900. We have in the past contributed to the Breeze radio at this amount.
What's the amount, Floyd?
$4,900. $4,900.
$100 less than $5,000, which $5,000 is the limit for a city, former city.
Okay.
Is this something that Renata recommends? The Breeze radio advertising? In her marketing plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mosley is here. Did anyone have any questions of him? Okay.
We did advertising with the Breeze for the $4,900.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Aye. Number 10, to discuss for possible consideration a letter of intent to lease space to Pure Renewables in the 501 Proctor Building.
Of intent. It's the letter of intent. I didn't see it. Isn't it? I didn't see it.
Right behind the, there it is, right there.
We sent, Madam Chair and Board, we sent to Pure a letter of intent to lease the building. The second floor, the original form agreement that we sent we sent it in error. They had some information on the third floor on this. They did return the letter of intent to us, signed. What we asked them to do is resend this thing with all the necessary corrections for their signature.
Mr. Batiste explained it. The one that was sent had some incorrect wording in it, so the one in front of you guys is just for the second floor. Basically the offer is good until I think I put in there the end of July. Anyways, if y'all have any questions, Floyd and I are here to answer them.
So it's the second floor, not the third floor?
This is for Pure Renewables, and they would like to enter into a letter of intent to lease the second floor for their corporate headquarters.
A motion to approve.
Motion? The motion and second to approve the letter of intent for Pure Renewables in 501 Proctor Building. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify.
One question. Are they funded yet? Yeah. Are they funded yet, Pure?
It's my understanding they have all the funds for the project.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 11, to discuss for possible consideration a letter of intent with AAY Associates for lease space on the third floor of the 501 Proctor Street building.
I think in your packets you have an email from Yolanda Kohut, who is with AAY, and she's basically providing you all what they would like, and it's up to you guys if you would like to accept or reject what she's provided to you this evening in writing.
Right now, this is just a letter of intent, right, for you guys to...
What Mr. Hayes has presented AAY an offer, which is kind of was similar to the PURE's letter of intent, and basically AAY has come back and providing you their terms. And tonight, it's kind of up to you guys if you want to accept or reject what they've provided, and you can bring this into, and it is in executive session, so if you guys just want to wait to discuss that, that's fine, we can do it in executive session.
Okay, we'll defer to executive session. Item number 12, to discuss for possible consideration entering into a construction agreement with Sparglass Construction for the construction of the third floor common restroom, build out of lease space, and installation of projector screen on the exterior east wall of 501 Proctor Street.
Madam Chairman, I would ask that you guys hold this one after executive session, because this one is contingent upon number 11.
Sir, we'll defer number 12 to executive session. Number 13, to discuss for possible consideration the Greater Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce rekey certain door locks within their lease space and purchase additional keys.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I met with the chamber president and the manager. They are requesting some changes to the doors. We looked at what it would cost to facilitate the necessary changes, and we come into you guys to see if it was okay for us to tell them they could go forward with the changes that they are requesting.
I have a question for the lawyer. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Yeah, I have a question for the lawyer. Specifically, have you had an opportunity to look at the lease agreement? And what does the lease agreement with the chamber say as it relates to rekeying, and then also based upon that lease agreement, at whose expense would this be?
It doesn't specifically talk about rekeying. It does talk about making improvements, and I believe those are on the master tenant, who's the EDC's. But again, this is up to you guys if y'all want to remove it. It's not illegal if you want to pay for it or not.
No, I guess, would this be considered an improvement, and per the lease agreement, the tenant would be responsible for those expenses? And I'm only asking you, from what you've read of the lease agreement, that's the controlling document, that lease agreement, from what you're saying, says if there's going to be improvements, then they have to pay. Would this constitute an improvement?
That's up to you guys to decide.
Okay. And if that's what the lease agreement basically says, improvement, and you're saying it's up to us to decide, then I would think if they want it, they need to pay for it.
Mr. Chairman, in the discussion with the chamber, they have no problem paying for those things. And my request to them is they will pick up the costs. I'm coming to you guys because there's some changes to our building, and I want you guys to know what's going on. But the chamber will pick up the costs of these changes. Right, Crystal? Yes.
They have, they've made the comment that they will take on the cost of rekeying certain cores within their chamber lease space.
Does this mean that we no longer have access to that space as owners of the building?
We'd still have the master key.
We would still have keys?
Okay.
I make a motion that the chamber pay for it.
There's a motion on the floor to approve them rekeying and that they pay for the expense. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying yes. Any opposition? Motion carries. Number 14, to discuss for possible consideration award of a bid for the grass maintenance at the Highway 73 Business Park. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, we went out for the bid for the Highway 73 Business Park. We received 3 bids. The lowest bid came in at $31.25 by DSAS. The current contract is Affordable Lawn Care, who's maintaining that property. My recommendation to the board is to continue with the current contract, even though it's not the lowest. And I will tell you, you guys, we have had a lot of problem with grass cutters. You know, they get this bid and they work a couple of months and they figure they can't make the money, they quit on us. It happened 4 times since I've been here. Affordable Lawn Care is doing a great job for us. They understand our needs. They're doing the job that, they're doing a great job. And my recommendation is to stay with Affordable Lawn Care. I just hate to just keep changing because it's a process to keep this grass cut, man, and keep a good contractor. The lowest bid is a company called 6DAS. I did speak to the city on those folks. They are new contractors with the city. I don't know much about them. I work with Joey, I work with Affordable, but these folks are new. And that's why I'm recommending that we stay with what we have.
What's the overall cost? I mean, what's
the difference in this thing is we're talking about $2.25. We're talking about 6 acres of land, about $15 a cut.
I agree with you, Floyd, because we tried it before, and a new contractor came in here, and we had to wind up replacing all the sprinkler systems.
Make a motion that we engage Affordable Lawn Care for maintenance of the Spar 73 Business Park.
Second.
So motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Next item, to discuss for possible consideration approval of a payment to Nautical Affordable Housing, Inc.
I'm looking at my paper. I don't see it in my packages. Is it in here, Chris? Okay. Just there's been discussion about, us writing checks. This is your first payment for the Lamar State College dormitories. The payment is $387,804.16. I'm just coming to you guys so that I could cut these people a check. We did submit this thing to us about 2 weeks ago. So, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I'm trying to get paid.
And this, y'all already approved all of this funding. Everything's closed, so this is more of an FYI to let you guys know when you see that on your budget that check was written. This is why it's their first draw request. I don't know. No, you don't really need to take an action, Mr. Cook, unless Mr. Batiste would like it on the record that you're...
I think, and the reason why I brought it because, there's been discussion by this board about how much money we could cut a check for, and this would be this amount. I didn't want to cut a check without y'all knowing we're going to have a check cut for $300,000.
I really think until we pass the policy that says that, we need to just... You're good. Board agree with that? Okay. To discuss for possible consideration ratification of city-approved covenants and restrictions for Spur 93 Business Park and authorize filing in official public records of Jefferson County. We've also approved this, correct? And it's just a matter of no.
Actually, this one's a little different. What you approved were the Jade Avenue restrictive covenants. This is just the original business park. As you all had, we discussed at your last meeting, Crystal sent a letter to all of the tenants via certified mail, and I believe she got green cards back showing that they got the letter to 23 out of 20, was it 23 out of 24 or was it all?
22 out of 24.
22 out of 24. Nobody called with any objections, so we're letting you guys know that, and we would like you to authorize us to go ahead and send that amendment to Jefferson County so it can be filed. Okay.
The motion.
The motion and a second to approve sending the filing to the Jefferson County official public records. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Number 17, to discuss for possible consideration adoption of the revised plat for the Jade Avenue Business Park.
Yes, Madam Chairman, board members, before you guys have adopted the plat for the Jade Avenue Business Park, and at that time you guys were considering a project, potential project in that park, it's the same plat. The difference is we removed the road because, I just took the roads out. So it has gone before the Planning and Zoning Board and has been approved without the road. The only property that they could really purchase right now is the frontage property that's facing Jade. But what I'm asking you to do is to accept the revised plat that was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission so it could be filed.
Move that we accept the revised plat for the Jade Avenue Business Park. It's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Number 18, to discuss for possible consideration of adoption of the 2016-2017 PA EDC budget. There is a June 15th deadline for submission to the city.
Yes, Madam Chairman, board members, we presented to you guys in the workshop today the board, the staff recommendation for your budget for fiscal year ending September 2017, and we noted the changes on the budget, to the budget to you guys. There will be some changes to this budget based upon payment of invoices prior to September. The way the city do their budget, they do not, we used to be able to carry over the money. We don't carry over, we have to budget everything that we carry over. So if I pay some of the bills, this budget will change and we will bring it back to you guys for a new adoption. But I'm asking for your approval as presented in your budget workshop.
Make a motion that we approve the budget as presented in the workshop this afternoon.
Second.
A second, any discussion?
All right, so again, going back to the budget, the $3 million is going to change to 2.5 because of the payments going to Lamar University.
Sure. Okay.
Any other discussion? It's been moved that we accept the document that was presented at the workshop earlier today. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Number 19, to discuss for possible consideration contracting a project manager to oversee the PAEDC Affordable Housing Program in an amount not to exceed $35,000 for 1 year with an option to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods.
Yes, ma'am. I have been in meetings with the city, and myself and Guy and Stephanie from NDC has been in discussion about the affordable housing program. I've learned a whole lot since we first started this deal. This program going to be managed and operated by PAEDC. The city operates a home program, which is an 80%, what they call it? 80% of poverty guideline. Based on what Guy and Stephanie are saying, we could go 120%, which is what we're going to be doing, 120%. And I'm asking you guys to neither engage a project manager if you want to go out for RFP, RFQ, whatever way. I just need somebody to manage this stuff because it takes on its own life once it gets started.
Well, just so we're clear, are we saying that the city housing department, which I assume wouldn't, well, I guess they might charge us, they wouldn't be able to manage this?
Currently the city home program, the 80%, they hire someone to manage, to do theirs. All the city does is certify that that person meet the guideline. And what we are asking is so they engage a nonprofit organization to do all the work for them.
My other question, I guess, would be a legal question for Kate, which was, when we put it on the ballot, I think the citizens voted for the $350,000, I believe it was, $300,000, and that was approved. From a legal standpoint, they did not vote on a project manager to come 1,000. That's just a question from a legal standpoint. If we were to hire a project manager and we pay that person up to $35,000, to my understanding of what the citizens voted on was from that $300,000 to go toward the down payment on the house and closing costs. So that's what they voted on. They voted, here's $300,000 and you can use it for that specific purpose, down payment and closing costs. Now, can we, and that's a purely legal question, take from that same source and pay the project manager?
Let me answer this, Commissioner. Let me answer you, Kate, because the money is not coming from the Proposition Fund. The money is coming from EDC's fund. I'm asking the board to engage a project manager. If the board engaged the project manager, the board would have to pay with EDC funds.
Just adding a staffer for you, Florence?
Yes, sir. Another consultant.
Okay.
Right. From a legal standpoint, you're right, Mr. Adams. They did not vote to engage a project manager, but Stephanie Dugan with NDC has consulted with Floyd, and other cities that have a program like this, they have to engage a project manager because the EDC staff does not have the capability or the knowledge to be able to adequately run this program. Floyd is right. It would not be taking away from the money that has been allocated for the affordable house program. The EDC would be paying for it. That would be an authorized expense because it would just be another consultant.
It's an additional cost.
Right. A lot of housing authorities, Guy and I actually represent one, they, even though they're a housing authority, they contract with a nonprofit to oversee what they do. These people are very knowledgeable in what they do. So our suggestion would be to go out with an RFQ, request for qualifications, see who would be willing or interested to oversee the program, and then we could present that to you guys. But the EDC just doesn't have the capability to run this program and do everything else that they're doing.
That $35,000, is that the going rate for people?
I mean, how do we say not to exceed? We don't know what the rate is going to be. It's not to exceed. What we're saying is, if this board chooses to engage that individual, we will not exceed paying $35,000. It could be $20,000. But we will not pay more than $35,000.
Let me ask this, Mr. Mattis, do we have the money to pay more if the people come back and they say, if we don't get anybody who says they can work for that amount? Would we have the ability to pay more?
We would have to look in the budget and find some additional money. Just like we have to find it, because remember, we did not budget this amount. We have to go into the budget and find money to pay for this.
So this item was not projected into next year's budget?
No, ma'am. That's part of the contingency, if that happens.
You're calling it a consultant. Would it come out of a consultant fee?
It would probably come out of contingency. The consultant that we have in the budget is for the National Development Council, which is $6,000, which is $72. I didn't budget this because I didn't know what this board was going to do. But we have contingency. Some of it probably will come out of this year's budget.
How much is in the contingency?
Your budget's in $100,000.
It's contingency.
For this year, how much money will we?
We do not have a contingency.
So we have to move some.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Don't have a contingency fund this year. No.
No.
The person probably wouldn't start until, we couldn't vote till July.
Well, talking to Guy, the Lord Guy, Guy is telling me we need to engage the banks as soon as possible. We need to put policies and procedures in place. So, I would say July. Yes, ma'am. This person.
We wouldn't be able to, but this person couldn't start till after the July meeting, though.
Well, it depends on how y'all want to do it. We are saying that I am being told I need to get the bankers involved. I am being told that I need to get policy procedures in place. So, July, or if you want to wait till after July, fine. Whatever.
No, I would like us to start tomorrow, but I think based on her saying we have to go out for a request for qualifications, we can't vote on that until the July meeting, so the person wouldn't start.
Well, again, Guy and I have had a lot of discussion. He said if this board choose to go out for requests for qualification, fine. If you choose to identify someone, currently there is someone that does this for the city of Port Arthur.
How much are they charging?
I'm not sure.
But do you know the cost of any person doing this?
No, sir. No, sir.
So basically that $35,000 not to exceed is a guess that should be.
What I'm saying, the $35,000 is saying to this board that you may spend $15,000, but you cannot spend more than $35,000, not to exceed, meaning that I cannot spend above $35,000. I don't know what it's going to cost me. It may cost me $35,000.
It could cost you more. It could cost you $50,000.
No, I can't. If it cost me $50,000, I would have to come back to this board if it's more than $35,000.
That's why I asked what was the going rate, and we typically don't know. Like the lady that you're saying is doing the city, we don't know how much she's charging the city for the similar type services. So I guess when we get...
I think he said that this $35,000 was not in the budget for next year.
Or this year. It's not in the budget for this year.
This year.
It's not in the budget for this year, but I will tell you, I will be moving probably about a little over $500,000 of unspent money this year. So I'm not concerned about $35,000 in this year, finding $35,000 in this year's budget.
I'd like to make a motion that Kate said we needed to go out for RFQs. That's what.
Earlier, whenever Guy and I discussed it, that's what he told me to recommend. So I don't know what him and Floyd, if they spoke later after that. So I'm just going off of my knowledge. It's up to the board. If y'all are comfortable with that, we can do it. And if you want to just authorize Floyd to contract somebody, if the board feels comfortable with that, y'all can do that too. It's really up to you guys what you would like to do tonight.
How does going out for RFQs delay the process?
A guy said to me he think he could get a copy of an RFQ from another city and we just tweak it for us. We would have to publish it twice in the paper and give the applicants time to respond. So another 2-3 weeks probably, right?
Yeah, I would say if we hustle, hopefully because July 4th is a holiday, so you're not going to meet in July till July 11th. I would hope by July 11th you guys would have the responses and you can make the decision on who you would like to engage.
The recommendation.
Yes.
It's the pleasure of the board.
Make a motion that we go out for RFQs to determine who we're going to use for this project.
There's a motion on the floor to go out for RFQs for the project manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Now, item number 20, to discuss for possible consideration directing the contracted project manager to draft policies and procedures for the PAEDC down payment assistance program with final review by EDC.
Madam Chairman, I guess the board would have to remove this until you have a project manager in place. Until that person gets in place, we cannot put procedures together.
Item number 21, to discuss for possible consideration requesting the city to waive the permitting fees, tap fees, and donate any property owned by the city in the PAEDC targeted area for the affordable housing program.
It's another idea that we came up, in other cities that's doing the 120%, city participation could be waiver of permit fee, waiver of tap fee, and any property, that designated property, do have some city-owned property, asking the city to waiver the permit and the tap fee and to donate any property that they own. If the council agreed to that, this board have said they wanted a value of $130,000 home. This would, I am being told it could average $6,000 to $7,000 toward the construction cost, so you could get a home for $135,000 to $137,000.
Is it hard to ask? You don't know if they'll agree until you ask.
It's a quick question. I think it's a good idea. The waiving of the permit fee still doesn't waive the requirement to get the permit, right? So when they do it in this building, you would have to get the permits, and it would have to be, licensed contractors who are bonded, who are actually getting the permits, because I don't want to be confused that we're saying we waiving fees, and then that means, you don't have to get the permit. You still got to get the permits.
We're not asking to waive, we're asking the city, because the city has a fee when you apply for your permit. We're asking the city to waiver the fee on the homeowner and to waiver the tap fee that homeowner would have to pay. And if there's any property that they own within that targeted area, if they would donate that to the owner, saving tap fee, permitting fee, and also property, which could average $6,000 to $7,000 that they could be going over to the construction side of this thing.
Make a motion that we do exactly what 21 says, that's to, ask the city to waive those permit and fees. All right.
The motion? And a second on the floor to waive the fees, tap fees, and ask the city to donate any property owned. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. I'm going to ask to take number 22 off of the agenda tonight because I think it's going to have some discussion. It is currently already 10 minutes to 9, so we will postpone that until the next meeting. The purchasing policy.
Yes, I had a few questions on that. I think that was my
your item?
My agenda item. And it was a question for the lawyer on that. Kate, to my understanding, when you guys initially gave us City of Port Arthur 4A Economic Development Purchasing Policy, where it had Section 3, purchases for less than $10,000, I thought that was originally $5,000.
You're right. I met with the Purchasing Policy Committee, and they asked me to change it to 10,000, so under their direction, it was changed.
And then my next question to you, Kate, was under our existing bylaws, and I'm referring to Section 1303, and these bylaws have been in effect at least since 2015? I think this is our most recent. It says that the director shall develop policies and procedures for the corporation, including financial, accounting, and purchasing policies and procedures to be approved by the board. My question is, since these bylaws have been in effect for a while, what are our current purchasing policies and procedures? Because according to our bylaws, our director should have already done that, at least according to the bylaws. What are the current ones?
We don't have current we do not have a current purchasing policy.
And then my next question is, since we never had purchasing policies and procedures pursuant to our bylaws, and I was reading from the bylaws, I noticed that there was a change that you said that you went up from $5,000 to $10,000 based upon the committee, right?
Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation. Does your law office represent any other EDCs?
Yes, we do, but Guy and I do not. So it's another partner.
I understand that, but I understand you do in different cities, and in those cities that you represent other EDCs, do they have a spending limitation of $10,000 or less that you're aware of?
I'm not sure. I haven't reviewed their purchasing policy because I don't represent them.
Because what I did is I had my office call a few cities around. We contacted Groves, the EDC person, the city manager is the CEO of the EDC, and his discretionary spending is $5,000. I contacted Forney. He has no check writing ability. I contacted Marshall. Executive director has no check writing ability. I contacted Temple, Texas, which is about $66,102, which is close in the size of Port Arthur. And before the CEO can write anything, it requires 2 signatures. Orange County, right next to us, their director has a spending cap of $2,500. And I even believe that the city manager even mentioned that his spending is $5,000 or less. And I guess the point that I'm making is, at least from the calls that I've made, even Beaumont, because I think you guys represent Beaumont. But even in Beaumont, huh?
I have EDC.
No, they don't have EDC, but I'm saying they have a city manager.
We don't represent them.
Right.
Mr. Adams, in all honesty, this isn't really a legal question. The Purchasing Policy Committee reviewed this, and so they can probably answer your question as to why they decided these numbers were best.
Guess the point that I'm making is this. In my calls around, and like I said, I called several people from Groves, their city manager is the EDC. I'm not aware of any city in Texas where in terms of discretionary spending, the chairperson of the EDC can spend up to $10,000. And that's why I asked you, because your law office represents several. And in the ones that you represent, can you name for me one of them where the discretionary spending...
Guy and I only represent Port Arthur EDC. I cannot speak to the other partner in his EDC. This $10,000 limit, the Purchasing Policy Committee, we all met, we all determined that would be an appropriate spending cap, because one of the main reasons was, all of you can look at the time, if you all are approving every single small invoice, we're going to be here till midnight every Monday night, or every meeting, and I love you guys, but I don't want to do that. I don't know if y'all want to do that. And so I think the purchasing policy's rationale behind it was they trust Floyd, and also the way the Port Arthur EDC is set up, I can't speak to the others, is every single purchase made, whether it is $5 or $5,000, the city of Port Arthur has to review it. They have to submit the receipt, and the city of Port Arthur makes sure it is an authorized purchase. So there is additional oversight.
I guess how this came up was there was a purchase and securing the services of Anthony Leger for $7,500, and the board didn't have any notice or approval of that. And at least according with this, and that's why I asked, when I called around, I was unable to find, because all of the arguments that you're making for our EDC, I think would apply to cities that are larger than Port Arthur. And I was unable to find any CEO in the state of Texas, and maybe you know of one, where his ability to make purchases without board approval is up to $10,000. I couldn't find one. And again, when I looked at what you initially proposed, it was 5, and that's similar to what Groves have right now, which is 5. And again,
I'm trying to get you. I'm trying.
Go ahead.
This was a recommendation by the committee, correct? Okay, that's the only.
By the committee. Guy and I did not. We drafted a policy. We sent it to the committee. The committee reviewed it. They got together, and then they told us what to put in it. So as far as the $10,000 amount, you really should ask the committee what their rationale was, and I'm sure they can provide that rationale to you.
And I will be happy to respond. Mr. Baptiste actually has no check writing authority. The bottom line is Mr. Baptiste cannot spend a dime of money himself. And so when we say that, he might send in an invoice, and he sends it in to request that it be approved, but he can't do anything. And really, as I have reviewed this, we can't do a whole lot without the city finalizing it. So there are a number of procedures and things in place that should prevent anything happening of spending money, that is, for Mr. Baptiste to do that. So that was the rationale. I worked with the committee. The other committee members want to identify yourself, Reverend Anderson. I don't know if you want to or not. Reverend Anderson, Mr. Pena. And I think Mr. Wyckoff was on the committee. And that was really our rationale. The truth is we can create some limits, and we can create all of that. Now, there was, and I will clear the air on this, there was some discussion about some spending that had happened. The truth is, we only got half of the information because Mr. Baptiste's purchase card, is that what it's called, your purchase card, has to be reviewed by the city. If there's an expenditure that does not meet the requirements of the city's policy, and Mr. Baptiste has used his P card to do that, he would then have to reimburse the city, and that has happened on some occasions. So that was really our rationale for creating the policy. Now, that's my thought. Anybody else?
The only thing that I would say with working with the committee is we determined that there are a number of things that we just don't want to have to nitpick to get done. We just want the EDC and Mr. Baptiste to be able to do their job day to day, whatever that entails. They give us a list of everything that they do anyway, and for us to have to say that something's okay that's under $10,000, to me, that's just a little too much.
Ms. Anderson, I think I agree with you there in terms of a list of everything. We as a board, before you got on the board, we voted for every board meeting that we get an accounting of everything that was spent. And if you remember in our last agenda packet, you even saw Kate's in them bills. They had Kate's bill. I mean, we got everything that they spent within that month period. But when I looked at the agenda packet, as I oversaw something, I didn't see it in the email we got, because we agreed we did not want the staff to make copies of piles and piles of paper. We said we didn't want that. But we also said what we wanted is what we voted on. And what we voted on is to get the expenses, the monthly expenses. I didn't see that in the email. I mean, and that was something that we voted on. And again, when you look at the language of this, and I'm reading the language word for word, purchases for less than $10,000 can be made by the PAEDC Chief Executive Officer without prior board approval. And the point that I was making is, I know she doesn't personally represent other EDCs, but her law firm does. And I wanted to know if she knew, was there any other EDC in the state of Texas where the CEO could spend $10,000 without board approval? I called on my own, and I just told you where I called.
I think we're getting away from, Madam Chair, we're getting away from this agenda item.
I have the floor. That's interrupting me. I have the floor.
Point of order. I think we should call point of order.
Yeah, point of order.
Yeah, point of order. No, point of order.
Well, what is it? He's just trying to interrupt me. He has no point of order.
I asked the board members, please.
What's his point of order?
Mr. Adams?
He has none.
His point of order is, we have an item that the committee is presenting. The committee explained why they had this, they created these numbers because there is no authority. Mr. Baptiste just doesn't sign a check. He just doesn't. Number one. And number two, when you said about the report, I think the staff may have misunderstood in that they have a copy of the finance report for you. They did not send them out in the packet. And I don't know that the board made that clear, that they wanted that in the packet, in their packets. And that may be something we want to do. If, in fact, the board disagrees with the recommendation of the policy of the committee, we can vote on that.
Right. But before we vote, and I take issue with Mr. Eli Roberts, in terms of a point of order, the point of order is I can speak as a board member to an agenda item. I'm not speaking about anything other than the agenda item. And speaking to this agenda item, relevant to this agenda item, the question I raised was there any other city in Texas where the CEO he could spend without board approval $10,000? Now, maybe the board that he was was on, didn't look into that, but I did, and I called around, and specifically when I called around, I couldn't find one where you had a $10,000 limit without board approval. And that's speaking to the agenda item as it relates to his so-called point of order.
Okay, point taken.
So he just interrupted me, just for sake of interrupting me.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that the purchasing policy as presented be approved.
Second it.
There's a motion to approve the purchasing policy as presented. In a second, any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition?
Nay.
Motion carries. We have reports due now. If we can keep those to a minimal amount, you have 5 minutes and it starts now. No.
I'm going to try to go as fast as I possibly can. I've been traveling a lot, and I did have a lot of information to share, but time is late. Okay, if you look at the TV behind you, marketing report for today, I want to say a couple of meetings ago I laid out a couple of brochures around the table for each one of you guys, and pretty much this brochure pretty much markets what we have going on here in Port Arthur. It gives a Q&A of what's happening. It also breaks down all the things that we have going on, as well as our access to rail, water, the Gulf of Mexico, and so forth. Of course, earlier today, the presentation was done on the website. It is complete. I advise you guys to take time out and actually go and get familiar with the site. It's a very, very good site. Once again, user-friendly. I'm really in love with it compared to our last site, because believe it or not, your website sells your area. The newsletter was actually sent off last week, and right now it's in the process of being configured to go into its layout for the summer of 2016. Pretty much in the newsletter, we highlight Lamar State College Port Arthur, our street repair and maintenance program, the PA EDC down payment assistance program, the pavilion in People's Park. We also talk about CNN money and how it ranked Port Arthur #1 for the percentages of jobs created. We also highlight Mrs. Ingrid West Holmes and I at the World Forum this year in San Diego, California. It also gives the readers a breakdown of our mission statement and what we stand for. Also, for those of you that don't know, we were awarded a marketing and advertisement award for the second year in a row through Expansion Solutions magazine. And if you look over to my right, Sparglass, I'm going to make that. Sparglass was the mastermind behind this building, 501 Proctor Street. And I wanted to let you guys know that this building received 2 awards, an ICE award as well as the Eagle Award. And the Eagle Award will be highlighted in our newsletter this year. It is the highest award you could possibly get. So kudos to Sparglass. We also highlight employment and training. Also, we have a letter from our CEO that kind of gives the citizens of Port Arthur a snapshot of what he's been working on and what we've been doing here at the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. We also have the highlight our board of directors. Eli, I need your picture. And pretty much that completes the newsletter. Multiview, of course, you know Multiview is an analytical company that we actually went with. We finished with 82.6 impressions on desktop, so a lot of people were actually viewing us per desktop. And we bought 1 million impressions. We reserved those 1 million impressions. The goal was to get us at a 0.12 click-through rate. We finished at a 0.14 click-through rate, so we exceeded our goal. Now, moving on to San Diego. Wow, San Diego. It was a really, really good trip. Met a lot of people. I actually got to visit TaylorMade, talk with a lot of site selectors, business decision makers, stakeholders, people from all over the world. Had a chance to go to a brewery. I know when I first came into economic development, Mr. Baptiste and I, we talked about possibly one day getting something like that in our area. We also talked about warehouse development, golf balls, things of that sort. And TaylorMade, of course, is where everything is made for the golfer. I just want to go through, my picture's kind of scrambled once I put it up, but I'm going to sum it up I'm going to try to sum it up because I had a lot of information, but I want to leave you with this. Warehouse and distribution centers have had growth. E-commerce is having paradigm shifts. People are ordering online, abundance of consumption. Japan's capital employment has been advantageous. Port system in the U.S. and infrastructure is under-infrastructured. I don't know if you guys knew, but Korea is the worst place in the world for logistics. Leaves a lifeline to a region that cares. Global transport of goods requires more investment. Sea travel is cheap right now, safe and very inexpensive. Global transport by air is costly. Robots. 2 million robots will be made by the year 2020. I know Ms. Ingrid can attest to this, but they talked a lot about the STEM program, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. It's very, very critical that we have it and we incorporate it here in our city. We are living in a digital world. Call centers are on the rise. Two-year technical institutions are a must. We need them. They're growing. We do have it. We need to utilize it. And if you guys want more information on this, I have a copy. I'll make a copy for you guys. Moving on. Offshore Technology Conference. I actually had a chance to attend the Offshore Technology Conference in May through READY, which is Regional Economic Development Initiative. Paul Latchley, who was here earlier with the Center of Innovation, he was actually a panelist this year at the OTC, which is the largest offshore technology conference in the world. It was hosted right there in Houston, Texas. If you look on both sides, you see this particular form right here. It highlights, basically this form, front and back, sells the region. It talks about infrastructure, workforce, proximity, major ports, rail carriers, our regional airport. I hope you guys know Jack. It talks about higher education, and if you guys want a copy of this, I have this information as well. But this is how we sell our region, and I just want to say that being a part of READY has really taught me a lot. I'm learning every day, learning more every month, and I will say that the OTC conference was a good conference. And then, not least but last, I will talk about Shamir Analytics, which is an analytical system that we use. Of course, tonight on the website they showed the analytical stats that any site selector can actually achieve from going on our website. But recession. We are on the rise for a recession, just an FYI. So listen to the news, keep your eyes out, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. That concludes my report. That's as fast as I can go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Operational report.
I'm going to give you all a quick update as to our employment and training programs. Team Industries is getting ready to begin interviewing for their next higher level welding class. So those students should start within the next couple of weeks. That is going to be under the new contract that we've entered into with them and the workforce. They're going to be adding 3 more booths, so they'll have 9 students now rather than 6 at a time. Lamar State College, they are still in their first class of the CDL A drivers course, so that one should be finishing up soon, and of course they have a contract with us to train up to 40 students. Right now they have 10, I believe. Life skills contract, we are coming to an end with the 3-year contract that we had with them, and we are going to be we've gone out for RFQs once again to renew this contract, and hopefully within this month we'll get the results back and have something to you for next meeting to approve a contractor to continue that life skills program. In the business park, the recreational park that we are building inside of the business park, it has begun. In about 2 weeks, they're going to be pouring the concrete out there, and I believe they have a completion date of by November. It should be completed before then. So you all will see a recreational area out there for the tenants. The only other thing I have for you guys, as Kate mentioned earlier, our next scheduled meeting is on July 4th. That, of course, is a holiday, so it's up to the board whether y'all want to move it to the next day or the next week, whatever you'd like to do.
I think we should move it to the next week.
It's the
next Monday. Is that in agreement with the board? Can't vote, but... Thanks. Financial report.
Good evening, board members. In your packet, you will find a general ledger activity listing report. The report lists all operating expenses from October 1, 2016 through June 6, 2016. If you start with the account number 120-1429-582-2100 and end with 120-1429-582-9900. If you take a look at the report, it will list all the expenses that we incurred from each month. Our first period is October 1. You move on to the next month, you use period 2, and it lists everything that we paid, all expenses that was paid through that period. Our largest expenses for this month of May, our expenditures was $155,180.75. Our largest expense this month was for ALCO for $124,558.96 for dirt movement at the business park. Our payment to our 24-hour security service for the business park of $6,480. And affordable lawn care. All that totaled $131,540.32. Our other large expense for the month of May is $12,750, and that is our rent payment for the 501 master lease rent payment to 501. Also see the account activity or the account balance list also in your packet. Is there any questions?
I have no report this month, man. We've just been busy trying to get the budget done and time spend my budget in the new.
I want to make a comment before we close and adjourn to executive session. This has been a discussion meeting, and I just want everybody to know that discussion is healthy, and it's a good thing, and it's not intended to be anything to offend or to hurt anybody. We just want to make sure and make clear the things that we're doing as a board. We think that the staff is doing an outstanding job. It's not to question what you do, but I think we just want to make sure as we make decisions, we have some accountability for those decisions that we make, and we ask questions because we're not sure. But I felt like that needed to be said tonight because we had some discussions, and I think it was just important that we say that. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session? No, I have to say what we're going to executive session for. A closed meeting or executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of Chapter 551. Chapter 551.071 Government Code to discuss pending potential litigation, climate-controlled containers. Section 551.02 to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, AAY Associates. Section 551.074 to discuss matters of personnel, EDC Chief Executive Officer Performance Evaluation. Section 551.087 Government Code to discuss incentives for commercial and industrial business perspectives. Adjourn to executive session.
Right.